This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Friday, January the 14th. Race number 8 at Oaklawn Park. Let's throw up the field for a stakes class optional claimer featuring the 8-year-old debut of the number 1 CZ Rocket, runner-up of the 2020 Breeders' Cup Sprint. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us, and you can play this race and the entire Oaklawn card on Friday with your DRF Bets account. CZ Rocket's the big name in this race, Mike, but it's fair to wonder if he's lost a little bit of zip on the fastball as he's gotten a little older.
I think that's fair as well. Even though this horse got off to a really good start down here, kicking off a 7-year-old campaign last year, it did feel like he wasn't quite as good at the end of the year. You also, I guess you just have to take into consideration, Dan, it's his first start away from Peter Miller.
He is also facing several horses off layoffs that might give CZ Rocket a bit of an advantage. But taking a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, it's worth noting that CZ Rocket has kind of broken slowly in his last few races as he's gotten older. He breaks from the inside here in a race that doesn't have a lot of pace. Seven Nation Army is fast, but I think Cazadero is the speed of this race, the 7.
Yeah, I thought Cazadero was going to go from the outside as well. So I think he could make the lead in here. Seven Nation Army is a pretty fast horse, though. I'm sure they're going to try to at least secure some position with that horse from the inside.
So this will be CZ Rocket's first race since an even 7th in the 2021 Breeders' Cup Sprint. First start for a new barn, trainer Peter Miller taking a hiatus from training, but he is getting a little bit of class relief. And if this field is bunched up turning for home and it turns into a sprint, it might give him a little bit of an advantage. He's got a big kick.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably fair to say, at least, considering the form he was in for Peter Miller, that he's probably the best horse in the race. But it's not, that doesn't mean there aren't any questions with him. Not only the trainer change, but he wasn't, exactly lighting things up at the end of last year. He did run really well down here last year, Dan. I think that's something you want to take into consideration. Both of those wins were really nice performances down here off the layoff. And I guess if he comes back with one of those races, he'll probably win. I had enough things that worried me about him that I wanted to look for somebody else.
The 2 Seven Nation Army, expected to be on or near the early lead, earned a stakes placing off the layoff to kick off his 2021 campaign. That was at Oaklawn Park. We've got a formulator fact. Trainer Ron Moquette's been on fire recently at Oaklawn. Past 11 days, older horses at Oaklawn, 3 for 8, $2.40 ROI. The issue with Seven Nation Army is he's coming off even a lengthier layoff this time around. We haven't seen him since the Maryland Sprint. He didn't run very well. He was in against a very sharp horse in special reserve that day.
He was. He just didn't run his race that day for whatever reason, and it feels like there was probably some kind of an excuse there since we haven't seen him since that race. Listen, he's run several very fast races, and he does have good speed from the inside. There are plenty of things to like about this horse. If you feel like he's going to come back and fire off the layoff, perhaps the trainer stat that you put up there will give you a little bit more confidence in that regard. I'm not going to be surprised when he runs well in this race, Dan. I wonder what kind of price he's going to be.
The 3 Lycan needs to improve from a Beyer speed figure standpoint, but perhaps you could argue that this horse is a little bit dirtied up. His last race came in a race that was kind of dominated on the front end. He tried to come from way out of it. The race before that, over sloppy going. His last fast dirt race was a win at Ellis Park, and this barn has some good numbers. We'll take a look at Ingrid Mason's formulator fact. Over the past 4 years, older dirt sprinters, second off a 2 to 4 month layoff, 36%, $3.22 return on investment. This horse needs to improve and needs a little bit of pace.
Yeah, just, one of the few horses in here, who just doesn't really have that one fast race that you could necessarily point to and say it's good enough to beat this field, because he doesn't have one of those. And he's, 3 for 26 lifetime, which is also a little bit of a concern for a horse like him. I mean, he is exiting a race. I feel like if nothing else, Dan, you want to give him a pass for that last one. That was a wicked fast race with Hollish running a 109 Beyer. This horse had no chance.
The 4 is Mojo Man, coming off about a 5-month layoff for a very good trainer in Jim DeVito. This horse was a stakes winner on dirt at Indiana Grand 2 starts back. Beaten favorite last time out at odds on at Presque Isle. And I know a lot of folks are going to say, well, it was a synthetic track. Well, he likes synthetic tracks. He's 4 for 7 lifetime. And I couldn't see the excuse for that race. And I'm not sure I love the layoff, but he does have some speed.
Those things concern me as well. I like him as a horse. I actually think he's pretty good, and I do think he's dangerous in this race. If he shows up here and runs his best race off of the layoff, I think he could actually be really tough in here. Whether or not he does that, I guess it remains to be seen. He's another horse, though. He's got great tactical speed. I think he is going to get a good trip in this race. And he has plenty of races that make him a major player.
Attachment Rate was graded stakes placed last spring at Keeneland. He's a kind of horse that needs a little bit of pace up front. He was purchased over the summer for $160,000 at public auction. He returned off a lengthy layoff last time out, and it was just a race where he just didn't seem to fire from the back of the pack. I think he can do better with that race under his belt. The problem is it's a long layoff. The good news is Ron Moquett has good numbers with these kind of horses, as we see from our formulator fact with Attachment Rate. Dirt Shippers, second off the layoff, 4 for 12, 325 ROI. Just not sure he's the best closer in the race.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been a fan of this horses, and I was, one of the people who was just waiting for them to cut this horse back in distance. They got him on the Derby trail, ran him in the Derby as a 3-year-old. He never really seemed like a horse who wanted to do that, though. I was happy when they finally started turning him back last year. I guess with, some success. I thought his Commonwealth going 7 furlongs last April. I didn't think he ran poorly at all there, getting up for third. His last 2 races, I don't like at all. He didn't fire at all first time from Moquett. And even that non-wagering event at Churchill back in June, he really didn't do that much running there when they cut him back to 6.
Knee Deep and Slow, I Sleep is a bit of a sleeper for trainer Michael Maker. First off the claim, he caught a wet track. I'm not really sure that's his best going. And he ran into a pretty good allowance field at Oaklawn. That's Sir Alfred James, the third place finisher, is an in and outer. I mean, he was the beaten favorite in the fall high weight a couple of months ago. He came right out of that third place finish at Oaklawn to win a stake over the synthetic at Turfway with a 103 buyer. The race before that, Knee Deep in Snow, ran on turf. He's back on fast ground, and he ran well over it 3 starts back. It's second off the Maker claim.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would say that the field he faced last time, first off the claim for Maker, I would say that field's probably comparable to this one as far as ability goes. Maybe save the really good CZ Rocket. I just thought in a lot of ways, I know he only earned an 87 and he wound up 4th at the end. I feel like he improved off the claim for Maker. I think he ran a lot better in that race than he had in his prior dirt start at Santa Anita in October, where he was second best I didn't get any excuse at all that day. But he's got a couple of fast figures. He's got pretty good tactical speed. He's drawn towards the outside. I do think he took a step forward for Maker last time. And listen, getting back to a fast track in this spot could actually really help this horse.
And completing the field is Cazadero, who should be forwardly placed for trainer Steve Asmussen. It's been an interesting road to this race for the lightly raced 4-year-old. He was an early 2-year-old in 2020. It took him a long time to get back to the races, and it took him a couple of races maybe to get back to his best form. He got back to his best form in his most recent start. The problem is that race is 7 months ago, and he must have went to the sidelines for a reason.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, listen, on paper anyway, his 3-year-old campaign in some ways was sort of exactly what you wanted to see from this horse. He was a graded stakes winner as a 2-year-old. He missed time. He steadily improved as a 3-year-old. He paired up Beyer tops in his final 2 starts, including that win last time. Those are all good things. To be honest, I've never really been a fan of this horse, Dan. I know he ran fine last time, but I don't like him that much. He's not going to be a great price in here. You have the layoff to deal with as well. I would just rather try to find somebody else.
He does have a little bit of speed coming off of the long layoff for Asmussen as he faces older horses for the first time. Let's take a look at our top selections for the Friday race of the day. I'm just going to gloss over CZ Rocket. I think he's the best horse. I think he kicks these horses down. I think even his races 2, 3, and 4 back, maybe not the best CZ Rocket, but I think those races are better than these. But tell us about Knee Deep in Snow. He's a fair price on the morning line at 6-1. He has sneaky tactical speed, and he has a great horseman and Maker behind him.
All those things I think are true. I don't have anything necessarily really bad to say about CZ Rocket, but there was enough that concerned me about him that I wanted somebody else, especially because he's going to be a short price in here. And alternatively, I thought, there was enough that I really liked about Knee Deep in Snow's most recent start, especially off the claim for Maker. I really thought he ran deceptively well that day, Dan, and I'm happy to give him a chance in here at anything like that morning line price.
6125 for Mike, 1276 for me. Friday's race of the day, stakes caliber at Oaklawn Park. $101,000 is the purse for this optional claimer. Best of luck.